Welcome back to Under Baobab Skies. Tonight, we delve into the secrets of the Mande blacksmith guilds. Some of the earliest tales from Africa center on the legendary blacksmiths of the Mandinka people. These stories speak of men who journeyed to distant lands, seeking knowledge and skills beyond the understanding of ordinary men. They returned bearing iron ore and charcoal, transforming their villages forever by introducing the art of ironworking. And so the craft passed from generation to generation, becoming an integral part of their culture. In the heart of this tradition were the blacksmiths. Men of skill and mystery, they labored over glowing embers, coaxing beauty out of iron's fiery heart. But they weren't just artisans. Their connection to the spiritual realm made them intermediaries between the physical world and the unseen forces that governed it. For the Mende people, the blacksmiths held a unique place in society. They were highly respected, almost revered, yet often feared. Their work was vital, crafting the tools that shaped their world from plows to till the land to knives and ornaments for ceremonies. But their role went beyond mere craftsmanship. It wove into the fabric of their daily lives, influencing their social structure, rituals, and beliefs. Within the blacksmith community, there existed a rigid hierarchy. At the top stood the master smith, a venerable figure whose wisdom and experience commanded respect. Beneath him were apprentices, diligently learning the secrets of the trade, and then journeymen, skilled smiths ready to embark on their own adventures. Each level represented not just a phase in training, but a step in a spiritual journey. You see, the path of the blacksmith wasn't just about mastering techniques. It was about understanding the spiritual significance of their work. It was about recognizing that every piece they forged carried with it a bit of the craftsman's soul. In the Mende culture, the blacksmith's wife played a crucial role, serving as the intermediary between her husband's world of fire and the rest of the community. She was the keeper of the sacred fire, tending to it with reverence and ensuring its flames never died out. This responsibility was a testament to the centrality of fire in their rituals, symbolizing both the transformative power of the blacksmith's craft and the spiritual energy that coursed through their lineage. Living among the blacksmiths for a time, I witnessed firsthand the deep sense of community that defined their way of life. The forge was not just a place of work, it was a gathering spot, a place where stories were shared, problems were solved, and friendships were forged. In the rhythmic clang of hammer on iron, I heard more than just the creation of tools. I saw the passing down of traditions, the molding of young minds, and the strengthening of bonds that spanned generations. As the night deepened, I found myself drawn into the rhythm of the village life, participating in their dances, sharing in their meals, and listening to their elders recount tales that echoed with the wisdom of ages past. These weren't just stories, they were lessons in resilience, in resourcefulness, and in the enduring strength of the human spirit. With each passing day, I felt a growing sense of belonging, a feeling that transcended cultural boundaries and spoke to the universality of human experience. In the Mende village, I didn't just observe a way of life, I became a part of it. I learned that the bond between a craftsman and his work isn't just a professional relationship. It's a spiritual connection. It's a communion with the materials, the tools, and the techniques that have been passed down through generations. It's a legacy that lives on in every ring of a hammer, every piece of metal that takes shape under the skilled hands of a blacksmith. If you enjoyed this episode, please don't forget to leave a like and share with your friends. Your support means the world to us and helps us keep this amazing journey under the baobab tree alive. We'll see you next time. Until then, stay curious, stay kind, and remember, The greatest adventures are often found in the most unexpected places. You are now under baobab skies, and the story begins now. By the end of this part, you'll understand why the work of a Mande blacksmith, though sacred and respected, was also full of hardship, pain, and hidden burdens. The forge was a place of fire and breath. Day after day, a blacksmith of the Mande world rose before the sun, knowing his body would be bent toward flames until evening's cool finally fell. It was not glamorous, though people treated him with awe. The roar of the fire, the clanging of the hammer, the hiss of cooling metal, these were his daily companions, as constant as blood flowing through his veins. To stand so close to fire every day was to live with heat pressing into the bones. His arms grew heavy with the endless swinging of the hammer, his back ached with the weight of iron and anvil. The air was not fresh, but thick with smoke and sparks, filling lungs with an edge that stung. Even when he left the forge, the scent of fire clung to him, woven into his skin. Let's pause here for a moment. The fire crackles softly, and we rest beneath the stars. Yet the burden of the blacksmith's work was not only physical. There was danger in the materials he used. Iron ore and the chemicals of the forge, soot, smoke, and even the poison of handling certain minerals left marks on the body. The skin cracked and blistered, eyes strained against smoke. Lungs carried the residue of years at the fire. For every tool that left his hands, a piece of his own health slipped away. And still, the community demanded his craft. The blacksmith was the one who made the tools to farm the soil, the weapons to defend the village, the ornaments for rituals and marriage. Without him, fields would lie unplowed, warriors would go unarmed, and ceremonies would lack their sacred objects. He carried the weight of necessity, even as his body bore the scars of labor. The work also demanded silence and separation. In Mande society, the blacksmith belonged to a special caste, the Numu. They were respected, but also feared. People believed they carried spiritual power, for to shape iron was to touch the heart of the earth. But with that fear came distance. They often lived apart from others, kept by ritual boundaries that marked them as different. Let's pause here for a moment. The fire crackles softly, and we rest beneath the stars. This separation could feel like exile. The blacksmith's family might eat apart, marry only within their guild, and carry taboos that cut them off from the freedom of ordinary villagers. He lived with both honor and isolation. To others, he was a man of mystery. To himself, often a man carrying loneliness. And then there was the heat of expectation. The work was never-ending. A farmer might labor with the rains and rest in the dry season, but the blacksmith's hammer struck all year round. Villagers called on him for constant repair. Hose that broke, blades that dulled, iron bracelets that cracked. His labor followed him like a shadow. There was also the fear of failure. A poorly forged tool could break in the field, leaving crops untended. A weak blade could bend in battle, endangering a warrior's life. The blacksmith's mistakes were not private. They were borne by the community. Each strike of the hammer carried the weight of responsibility. Let's pause here for a moment. The fire crackles softly, and we rest beneath the stars. Even his children bore this inheritance. Sons of blacksmiths were expected to follow the craft, trained from boyhood to breathe smoke, lift iron, and respect the taboos of their caste. A boy's childhood ended early, replaced by apprenticeship at the anvil. Daughters too lived within the forge's shadow, bound to marry within the guild, their fates tied to fire. Thus, the blacksmith's life, for all its honor, was not free. It was heavy, fiery, dangerous, and often lonely. Beneath the respect of the community, there lay exhaustion and sacrifice. The Mande people revered their smiths as keepers of secret fire, but the smith himself lived in the grip of both respect and suffering, a paradox that defined his days. As we continue our journey through the world of the Mande, let's take a moment to appreciate the art of blacksmithing and its profound connection to our history. Blacksmithing is more than just a profession. It's a craft that has shaped civilizations, from the tools that enabled agriculture to the weapons that have been used in conflicts throughout history. Blacksmiths have played a vital role in the development of human society. Their creations are not just pieces of metal, they're extensions of human ingenuity and resilience. But blacksmithing is also a deeply personal journey. It's a profession that demands skill, precision, and an intimate understanding of the materials being worked. It's a dance between the blacksmith and the materials, a conversation between human will and the properties of iron, steel, and other metals. The tools and techniques of blacksmithing have evolved over centuries, but the core essence of the craft remains the same. It's a profession that connects us to our ancestors, to the legacy of those who came before us and forged not just tools and weapons, but also works of art and symbols of culture. Now, let's delve deeper into the world of the Mande people, a society where the role of the blacksmith is not just a profession, but a way of life. We'll explore the intricate social structure, beliefs, and traditions that make the Mande world such a captivating subject of study. Join me on this journey of discovery as we uncover the secrets of a civilization that has thrived for generations. In the heart of West Africa lies the Mande, a cultural and linguistic group whose influence echoes across the Sahel. Renowned for their griots, master storytellers, and blacksmiths, the Mande have preserved rich traditions and histories, shaping their world through oral accounts and intricate metalwork. Societies like the Bamana, the Dogon, the Senufo, and the Wasulu, each with unique customs, come together under the broader Mande umbrella, united by shared histories and cultural nuances. Their artistic heritage is profound. The Dogon, known for their monumental masks and breathtaking dances, use art to express deep spiritual truths. Meanwhile, the Bambara, celebrated for their intricate wood carvings, imbue each piece with a distinct character and purpose. Agriculture is central to the Mande way of life. With fertile lands along the Niger River, they cultivate crops like rice, millet, and cotton. Trade is also pivotal. As intermediaries between the Sahara and sub-Saharan regions, they facilitate the exchange of goods across vast distances, contributing significantly to the economies of their respective areas. Family structures within the Mande societies are diverse, ranging from the patrilineal Mossi to the matrilineal Yoruba. Yet, a common thread of respect for elders and communal harmony runs through each lineage. Religious beliefs are equally varied, with many following traditional religions that honor spirits and ancestors, while others have embraced Islam or Christianity. This blend of old beliefs and new faiths creates a vibrant tapestry of spirituality. Cities like Timbuktu and stand as testaments to the architectural prowess of the Mande people. These urban centers not only served as bustling trading hubs, but also as repositories of Islamic scholarship and centers of artistic innovation. However, the Mande have not been immune to the challenges of the modern world. Colonial policies, political changes, and environmental shifts have impacted their traditional way of life. Yet, despite these adversities, the Mande continue to thrive, adapting to change while preserving their cultural essence. Their resilience, adaptability, and rich cultural heritage ensure that the story of the Mande will continue to be told for generations to come. As we continue to explore the world of the Mande, remember that each of these stories Each of these traditions and each of these faces is a testament to the beauty and complexity of human culture. Appreciate the diversity, respect the differences, and learn from the wisdom embedded in each facet of the Mande way of life. Remember, every culture, every society, every tradition has something valuable to teach us if we are willing to listen and learn. In the vibrant tapestry of human civilization, the Mande threads shine brightly. Their contributions to art, religion, trade, and architecture continue to resonate, reminding us of the richness and diversity of our shared human heritage. They say the mountains hold wisdom in their bones, stories locked in ancient rock. Some say the mountains are the bones of the world, and in them we find a piece of the beginning. There are villages nestled between the slopes, quiet lives lived against the immensity of stone. And there, in one village near the Whispering River, lives a boy named Musa. He is 12, going on 30. All knobby knees and elbows, but with eyes that hold a lifetime of watching. The mountain has been his classroom. Each wrinkle and fold is a lesson in patience and humility. For the mountain does not yield its secrets easily. It tests with landslide and storm, with winter's bite and summer's thirst. And when the river carves its path, it takes centuries. Yet Musa is learning these lessons well. His father, Baba Yaga, is the best blacksmith in the valley. In his forge, the boy sees magic woven in sweat and fire, the language of steel. In his father's calloused hands, he sees strength, born of quiet persistence. When the wind carries the scent of wood smoke and river stones, Musa feels the pull of his heritage. In the rhythm of hammer on steel, he hears his future calling, a song as old as the mountains themselves. It is a good life, close to the land, close to the work, close to the slow unfolding of time. But fate has a way of interrupting even the quietest lives. One day, a stranger arrives. His robes are fine, his ornaments are rich, and the glint in his eye tells of far-off places. He is a trader from the coast, they say, a man who has seen more sunsets than winters. He comes bearing news from the outside world, tales of bustling markets and caravans laden with gold. And in his pack, he has wares that catch the eye, beads like polished jewels and bolts of cloth so fine they seem to float. The villagers gather, listening wide-eyed to tales of distant lands. For many, it is the closest they will come to adventure, living vicariously through the trader's words. For Musa, it stirs something older, a yearning whispered by the mountain wind, a pull toward the river, the same river that gives life to their valley but leads away from it. When the trader speaks of working for a king, of forging weapons that will shape the course of empires, Musa's heart quickens. This is a tale worth trading, a story worth traveling for. But the price is steep. The trader offers Musa's father a chance to be part of something grand, to leave the quiet forge for a royal court. To Baba Yaga, the mountains have been his whole world. The river holds the bones of his ancestors. The thought of leaving, of trading the familiar for the unknown, is like a stone in his heart. Yet the boy's eyes, they mirror the trader's own wanderlust. Baba Yaga sees in them the echoes of his own youth, the hunger for something more, the need to prove himself. It is a need that the mountains cannot quell, that their quiet life cannot satisfy. So Baba Yaga makes a choice that will change their lives forever. He chooses to follow the river, to seek his fortune at the king's court. As the sun sets over the mountains, casting long shadows that stretch like memories, Baba Yaga and his son set out. With them, a few prized possessions and the weight of their ancestors' hopes. The river welcomes them, becoming a path, guiding them toward the distant shimmer of lights, the faint echo of drums. The journey is long and fraught with peril. Flash floods test their mettle. rocky paths tempt fate. But with each challenge, Musa learns a little more about the world and a little more about himself. He sees how his father's hands, strong and sure, navigate the treacherous terrain. He watches the river's moods shift from playful to fierce, from calm to raging torrent. In the evenings, when the river flows gently and the stars spill across the sky, Musa and his father talk. Not of battles or kings, but of patience, purpose, and the quiet dignity of labor. For Baba Yaga, the river brings back ghosts of his youth, dreams abandoned and paths not taken. In the young boy's eager questions, he sees a chance to guide a life away from some of his own past mistakes. As the days turn into weeks, the river's song weaves its magic. It carries the sound of hammers on anvils, the rhythmic clang that speaks of creation, of shaping raw materials into tools and weapons that will serve and protect. Soon, the sounds of the city rise above the river's murmur, the rhythmic calls of traders, the laughter of children, the murmur of gossip and news. And then they see it, the king's palace, a jewel box of gold and red against the setting sun. It stands proud, a testament to power and luxury. And Musa's heart pounds with a mix of excitement and trepidation. This is where his father's skill will be tested, where the weight of their journey, of their hopes, will be laid bare. In the courtyard, amidst the bustle of servants and courtiers, Baba Yaga feels the weight of eyes upon him. Each courtier, each guard, seems to be sizing him up, gauging his worth. Musa stands by his father, small but resolute. In the face of this gilded world, he sees not just luxury, but a coarseness of manners, a shallowness of words. When Baba Yaga is summoned into the king's court, Musa waits anxiously in the outer chambers. The king is a study in contradictions, a crown of gold atop a head of unruly white hair, a regal robe draped carelessly over his shoulders. His eyes, though are sharp, assessing, and they settle on Baba Yaga with the intensity of a hawk eyeing its prey. The king speaks, his voice echoing with authority, and Baba Yaga's journey, his hopes, his very essence are put on the scales. In the flickering lamplight, Musa sees his father's shoulders straighten, his chin lift. When his father speaks, his voice is low but resonant, carrying the weight of his years and the wisdom of his craft. The king leans back, the smile tugging at his lips, a shrewd glint in his eye. For Musa, it is a smile that does not reach the eyes, a smile that speaks of bargains and veiled threats. The testing has begun, and in the coming days, Baba Yaga's skill will be pushed to its limits. The king's orders are exacting, his demands relentless, and with each passing day, Musa sees the toll it takes on his father. He sees the lines etched deeper around his eyes, the slight tremor in his hand, the quiet sigh that escapes his lips. But he also sees the quiet pride in his father's stance. The way his shoulders broaden as he moves through the palace halls, the slight tilt of the head that speaks of respect earned. As the weeks turn into months, Musa sees his father navigate this gilded cage with a quiet dignity. He sees him forge not just weapons of war, but tools of peace, keys to open chests holding priceless treasures. He sees the king's demeanor shift, the initial skepticism replaced by grudging respect, then admiration. In the late hours, when the palace is hushed and the moonlight spills through the windows, Musa and his father talk. Not of politics or power, but of resilience, of adapting to changing landscapes, of preserving their heritage in a world that seeks to mold it. And Musa listens, soaking in his father's words like precious gems, knowing that these are the lessons that will guide him to when his turn comes. For now, he is content to watch, to learn, to be the quiet observer in a world that is not his own. The forge burns brightly in the heart of the night, shaping not just steel, but destinies. The king's court is a crucible, testing not just metal, but character. And Baba Yaga and Musa stand firm, their bond forged in fire, tempered by the challenges they face together. The river that brought them here has borne witness to countless journeys, countless transformations. And as the moon climbs higher in the sky, they know they are not just travelers, they are becoming storytellers, adding their own chapter to the ever-unfolding tale of the mountains and the sea. The forge glows, a silent beacon in the darkness, a testament to the enduring spirit of the blacksmith and his son. The life of the Mande blacksmith was a constant rhythm of toil, ritual, and vigilance. From the first spark to the last hammer strike, every day carried weight. Beyond heat, poison, and ritual obligations, the blacksmith faced the relentless demands of time, precision, and expectation. A miscalculation could ruin the iron, break a blade, or mar a sacred ornament. In this world, every action had consequences. So, let's take a moment to understand what it means to be a Mande blacksmith in 1850. To wake before sunrise was a ritual in itself, a communion with the day as it unfurled. The blacksmith might wash his face in a nearby stream, the water's coolness a stark contrast to the heat that awaited him. He'd shave his head, not just for cleanliness, but also to symbolize his dedication to his craft. His head, like the metal he worked with, was bare and ready to be shaped. Then he'd don his protective clothing, leather aprons and gloves, imbued with countless stories of past fires and forges. They were more than just tools of protection. They were talismans against the very forces that fueled his work. As he approached the forge, the rhythmic clang of his hammer echoed like a heartbeat. Every swing was a conversation between man and machine, a dialogue in steel and fire. Sparks flew, not just as evidence of the intense heat he was working with, but also as a visual manifestation of his skill. Each spark was a controlled burst of energy, a miniature star born of his hammer's precision. But the blacksmith's work wasn't just about brute force. It was an intricate dance of heat, touch, and timing. To become a master, one had to listen to the iron, to feel its resistance and give way, to read its temper and adjust the flame. It was a partnership, a negotiation between the blacksmith and the metal. Theirs was a silent language, one that transcended the spoken word. They understood each other's rhythms, each other's demands, and respected each other's limitations. He doesn't work alone. Beside him, his wife carefully tended to the bellows, her rhythmic breaths feeding air to the flames. Her role was as crucial as his, for without her steady assistance, the forge's fire would falter. Together, they were a team, their movements synchronized in a ballet of sweat and steel. But the rhythm of the forge wasn't just about creation. It was also about destruction. For every useful item produced, there was waste, slag, and dross that had to be removed. The blacksmith dealt with these remnants as carefully as he did the raw material, for they, too, held secrets and lessons. Beyond the forge, there were errands and obligations. Villagers came to request charms or healing amulets, sometimes expecting results that defied human limits. The smith carried the weight of their hope and of their fears. If a ritual failed, whispers would spread, hinting at the smith's fallibility. These expectations created a tension that never left him, even when the hammer rested for the night. His tools weren't just instruments of labor, they were extensions of himself. The hammer, the anvil, the tongs each bore witness to his touch, his sweat, his skill. To lose a tool was a setback, a loss of time and energy that could disrupt the delicate balance of his schedule. But the blacksmith was resourceful. He understood the nature of his work, the importance of preparation, and the value of each fleeting moment. he approaches each task with reverence, be it a simple tool for a farmer, or a ceremonial mask for a coming-of-age ritual. Every piece had a story to tell, a purpose to fulfill. Whether crafting a machete to help a farmer clear the land, or a spear for a warrior preparing for battle, the blacksmith infuses each tool with a part of himself. And if a customer needed something special, perhaps a tool imbued with protective spirits, or a weapon said to hold the power of ancestral strength, the blacksmith obliged. But these requests came with their own set of challenges. The blacksmith had to not only master his craft, but also understand the spiritual implications of what he was creating. A miscalculation here could have dire consequences. For instance, imbuing a weapon with excessive power could lead to its owner's hubris, inviting misfortune, or imbuing a tool with the wrong spirit could bring harm instead of protection. Therefore, the blacksmith was often consulted, not just for his technical skills, but also for his understanding of the spiritual world. Each new piece added to his reputation, either enhancing it with praise or potentially damaging it with failure. In this way, the blacksmith's work wasn't just about physical tools. It was about crafting tangible pieces of faith, power, and protection. It was also a dangerous profession. Working with red-hot metal, explosive charcoal, and dangerous tools took focus and caution. A slip of the hammer could mean a ruined piece or a cut hand. A misjudged heat could result in a burst of flame and a burned workshop. The blacksmith was constantly on alert, not just for his own safety, but also for the safety of his tools and his livelihood. Each day ended with fatigue that no rest could fully cure. Hands blistered, back aching, eyes strained from the flickering light of fire, and sparks, lungs heavy with smoke, the blacksmith's body bore witness to the price of craft. And yet, he would rise again the next day to repeat the cycle. This endurance was a quiet testament to the resilience required of the guild. A life lived at the edge of strength and spirit. In the evenings, the forge's glow illuminated more than just the blacksmith's workspace. It shed light on the intricacies of his trade, the minute details that made all the difference between a well-crafted tool and a useless piece of metal. Under this soft glow, the blacksmith would inspect his work, checking for flaws or improvements. Each tool he made was a reflection of him, his skill, his patience, and his dedication. For him, it wasn't just about the final product. It was about the process, the transformation of raw materials into something useful, something beautiful, something imbued with a bit of his soul. It was a craft passed down through generations, a legacy that went beyond the lifespan of any single tool or customer. The blacksmith carried on his shoulders the weight of tradition, the hopes of his patrons, and the legacy of his ancestors. In the Mande culture, the blacksmith held a unique position. He wasn't just a craftsman, he was a mediator between the spiritual and the practical, between the raw materials of the earth and the finished products that served both function and faith. The rhythmic clang of the hammer continued long into the day, echoing the steady pulse of the village life it supported. With each swing, the blacksmith wove his magic, shaping iron into tools that would shape the lives of those around him. And so the days turned into weeks and months, each marked by the seasons, the harvests, and the needs of the community. The blacksmith stood at the heart of it all, his forge a constant, his hammer a faithful companion, his skill and endurance a testament to his enduring legacy. The Mande blacksmith was more than a craftsman. He was a pillar of society, a keeper of knowledge, and a guardian of both life and spirit. To hold the hammer and tend the fire was to hold power, a quiet authority woven into the very fabric of the village. Blacksmith guilds were organized and secretive, a brotherhood that combined craft, religion, and social control. Membership was not earned lightly. A young apprentice underwent years of observation, discipline, and ritual before he could touch the iron. The guilds safeguarded techniques that had been passed down for generations, preserving the knowledge of forging, shaping, and enchanting metal. Their influence extended beyond the workshop into the rhythm of daily life. Let's pause here for a moment. The fire crackles softly, and we rest beneath the stars. The blacksmiths' work shaped the economy as much as it did the spirit. Farmers relied on their plows, hunters on their spears, and rulers on their ceremonial weapons. To hold mastery over metal was to hold a stake in survival itself. The guilds mediated disputes, managed the allocation of critical tools, and sometimes dictated who could access certain materials. This control gave the blacksmith both respect and quiet influence, a seat at the intersection of craft and authority. The guild also regulated spiritual duties. Blacksmiths were considered intermediaries with the unseen world. They were called upon to forge charms, create protective talismans, and perform rituals that preserved health and prosperity. Their workshops often became sites of quiet ceremony, where prayers were whispered over the iron and spirits were invoked with each hammer strike. To work the metal was to engage with forces that transcended the human realm. Let's pause here for a moment. The night air is heavy with smoke and incense, and the stars shine quietly overhead. Guilds were also deeply tied to social hierarchy. Blacksmiths could advise village chiefs, mediate conflicts, and guide decisions regarding trade and resource allocation. Their knowledge was both practical and symbolic. A man who could shape iron was a man who understood strength, endurance, and precision. Their hands made tools and weapons, but their counsel shaped the community's rhythm of life. The training was exacting. An apprentice might spend years learning not only to heat and hammer iron, but also to memorize secret designs, understand the mystical significance of symbols, and respect the protocols that governed the guild. Mistakes could bring misfortune, not only to the smith, but also to those who depended on him. Every hammer strike was measured, every tool made with intention, every ritual observed with reverence. Let's pause here for a moment. The embers glow softly, and the quiet hum of the village drifts across the night. The Mande blacksmith's workshop wasn't just a place of work. It was a nexus of power, an economic engine, a spiritual sanctuary, and a training ground for excellence. It was within these four walls that the delicate balance of society was maintained, where the material and the metaphysical intertwined, and where the weight of tradition rested on the shoulders of those who dared to wield the hammer. And now we return to our story. In the heart of Mali, nestled amidst the vibrant tapestry of the Mande culture, lived a blacksmith named Madibo. Renowned for his skill and wisdom, Madibo wasn't just a craftsman. He was a living legend. His name echoed through villages, carrying tales of his exceptional talent and the almost mythical status he had achieved through his craft. One day, a young man named Trorai approached Modibo. He wasn't just any villager. He was the son of the chief, eager to learn the secrets of the blacksmith's trade. Modibo, known for his gruff exterior but kind heart, took Troai under his wing. But he made it clear that blacksmithing wasn't just a profession, it was a way of life. It was a commitment to excellence, a dialogue with the spirits, and a service to the community. Troari proved to be a diligent student, soaking up the knowledge Modibo shared. He learned how to choose the right metal, how to read its nature, and how to coax it into shapes that were not just functional but beautiful. He learned about the spiritual significance of each tool, the rituals that accompanied their creation, and the respect that was owed to the materials that they were made from. As Traoré progressed, he didn't just master techniques, he began to understand the very essence of blacksmithing. He learned that every tool, every weapon, every ornament was a story waiting to be told. And he became the storyteller, using metal as his canvas and the forge as his instrument. But learning wasn't confined to the workshop. Modibo took Traoré on visits to other craftsmen, weavers, potters, and woodworkers, to show him that true mastery came not from isolation, but from a deep understanding of one's craft in relation to all others. Years turned into decades, and Traoré's skills grew sharper. He became known not just as Modibo's apprentice, but as an artist in his own right. His pieces were sought after, not just for their utility, but for the artistry they embodied. He had become what Modibo had been to him, a mentor, a teacher, passing on the torch to keep the flame of tradition burning brightly. In the old age, when Modibo's hands grew weary and his eyes lost some of their sharpness, it was Traoré who took over the guild, ensuring that the legacy of the Mande Blacksmiths would continue. And so the story goes, weaving a tale of dedication, hard work, and the importance of preserving cultural heritage. It's a story that reminds us that true mastery isn't just about skill. It's about continuity, about passing on the torch to ensure that the flame of tradition burns brightly for generations to come. This blacksmithing journey has been a fascinating one, hasn't it? From the rhythmic clang of the hammer on the anvil to the fiery dance of metal under the blacksmith's skilled touch. Each step reveals not just the creation of tools and weapons, but the forging of a cultural identity. In the realm where iron sang and spirits converged, the Mande blacksmith held a power that transcended the forge. His influence was a quiet force, shaping not just metal, but the very fabric of his society. Each ring of fire he tended, each tool he fashioned, echoed with a deeper resonance. He was a conduit between the mundane and the mystical, a master of strength and subtlety, who understood the whispers of both the anvil and the spirit world. And so it is in this realm where fire meets mystique that we continue our exploration of the mighty Mande blacksmith. If you haven't already begun your journey with us, do well to begin now. And if you're still with us, let's delve deeper into this riveting tale. Now, when the sun dipped below the horizon and the first stars began to gleam, the blacksmith's true purpose unfolded. For in the hushed hours of the night, the forge wasn't just a place of craft, it became an altar. Rituals and ceremonies took center stage, and the blacksmith, with hands seasoned in both fire and tradition, conducted these sacred acts. He didn't just forge tools and weapons, he forged connections to the unseen world. Every clang of the hammer, every hiss of cooling metal resonated with a spiritual significance that only he and his initiates truly understood. Under the cloak of night, the forge emitted more than sparks and embers. It radiated a mystical energy, a tangible link to the spiritual realm that inspired awe and respect from all who witnessed these nocturnal rituals. These ceremonies weren't mere pageants, they were dialogues with the spirit world, a means of seeking guidance, protection, and balance. With each ritual, the blacksmith wove a tapestry of faith and tradition that held the community together. The villagers, in turn, placed their hopes, fears, and futures into these sacred rites, trusting in the blacksmith's connection to the divine. But the blacksmith's influence didn't end at the forge or within the confines of ritual. It extended to the very core of village life. His counsel was sought on matters that transcended metal and mystique. When decisions needed to be made, when the future of the community hung in the balance, The village looked to him for guidance. Why? Because the blacksmith possessed a unique perspective. He saw the strength of the land in the resilience of its tools, the endurance of its people in the sharpness of their weapons. He understood the ebb and flow of resources, the whisper of winds carrying tales from distant lands, and the rhythms of nature dictated by celestial bodies. This wealth of knowledge, gathered over years of patient observation and quiet contemplation, made him a wellspring of advice for the village, a living archive of experience. His opinions carried weight not because of any official title, but due to the depth of understanding born from his dual existence as a craftsman and a mystic. A farmer concerned about an upcoming planting season would seek him out. A hunter troubled by dwindling game might consult him. Even the village chief, vested with authority and power, would occasionally turn to the blacksmith for insight before making pronouncements that could affect many lives. Such was the respect and reverence that the blacksmith commanded. In this way, the forge became a second seat of power, where metal and wisdom were forged into counsel that guided the village through the complexities of their world. It was as if the very tools that ensured their physical survival also provided the framework for their social and political navigation. This influence, while substantial, was not absolute. The blacksmith didn't dictate decisions, but offered perspectives that illuminated the path ahead. He was a guide, not a ruler, helping the village navigate the currents of their existence. However, this elevation came with a quiet cost. The blacksmith, while revered, couldn't afford missteps. Every word, every ritual, every piece of advice carried the potential for significant impact. A misjudged piece of counsel, a botched ritual, or a poorly crafted tool could disrupt the delicate balance of his society, inviting misfortune or even ruination. This responsibility, borne silently and shouldered stoically by the blacksmith, was a testament to the gravity of their position. Their influence, deeply rooted in respect and tradition, demanded not just skill and knowledge, but an unwavering commitment to the well-being of their community. As we peer deeper into the life of the Mande blacksmith, we find a figure whose influence resonates far beyond the clanging of his hammer and the glow of his forge. He was a leader in the truest sense, not by birthright or decree, but by the quiet confidence earned through years of dedicated service and profound understanding. When the heat of the midday sun beat down on the land and the river ran low, it was the blacksmith's wisdom that guided the community. During times of plenty, his counsel ensured fair distribution, and when droughts or floods threatened, his foresight helped in preparing for lean times. His understanding of the land, gleaned from years of observing nature's rhythms and cycles, was invaluable. He knew when the rains were likely to come, how to best prepare the soil, and how to conserve resources during times of scarcity. His knowledge was a lifeline, helping the community weather the inevitable storms that beset them. But his leadership wasn't imposed. It was organic, growing out of the respect and admiration of those he served. Villagers came to him not because they had to, but because they wanted to. They valued his insights, his fairness, and his deep-rooted commitment to their collective well-being. In a world where power often came from brute force or lineage, the blacksmith stood as a beacon of quiet strength. His authority was earned, maintained, and respected, a testament to the power of knowledge, experience, and selfless service. Yet this kind of leadership bore its own burdens. The blacksmith couldn't shield his people from every hardship. He couldn't control the whims of nature or prevent the tragedies that sometimes befell them. But what he did have was the love and respect of his community. And so, in times of crisis, when the challenges seemed too great to bear, he drew strength from that bond. The villagers, in turn, found solace in his steady presence and wise counsel, knowing that though they might not have all the answers, they had someone who understood their struggles and had their best interests at heart. Together, they faced the adversities that life threw at them, united by the common thread of respect and admiration for their steadfast leader. As we draw closer to the heart of Mande society, we discover that the blacksmith wasn't just a craftsman or a mystic. He was a cornerstone, holding up the weight of tradition, balance, and communal well-being. Every tool he made, every ritual he performed, was a testament to his dedication to his craft and his community. His influence, subtle yet profound, wove itself into the fabric of village life, shaping not just their present, but their future. And though his path was marked by quiet sacrifices and the constant weight of responsibility, he stood firm, a stalwart figure of strength, wisdom, and unwavering commitment. The air in the Mande Blacksmiths shop is thick with more than just coal smoke. Every clang of the hammer on hot iron echoes with meaning, shaping not just metal, but the spiritual order of the world. This isn't just a place where metal is made. It's a sanctuary of hidden knowledge, a link to ancestral wisdom. And it's here, amidst the glowing embers and swirling sparks, that the true story of the Mande blacksmith unfolds. For while the structure of the guilds and their influence on society are important, and while iron is indeed a powerful tool for shaping the physical world, there's another layer here, a realm that exists just beyond the everyday. The Mande blacksmiths carried knowledge that was hidden from ordinary eyes. They knew that iron was not just metal, it was a vessel of power, a conduit between the physical world and the unseen realms that govern human destiny. Each hammer strike, each careful carving held a meaning, a purpose that transcended the creation of tools or weapons. The symbols they etched into every piece were like a secret language, a visual code that spoke directly to the soul. It's a legacy that has endured for generations, passed down from master to apprentice in hushed tones and solemn rituals. So let us step into this mystical world today and uncover the secrets that have been forged in the fires of tradition. Imagine standing in the dimly lit interior of a traditional Mande blacksmith's shop. Outside, the bustling market fades into a distant hum. Inside, the air is heavy with the scent of burning charcoal, and the rhythmic clang of hammers echoes around you. Your eyes, however, are drawn to the walls, covered with an intricate latticework of iron designs. Each curve and point seems to hold a story, a message encoded in the very metal. You turn to the grizzled blacksmith, his face etched with years of hard work and quiet wisdom. He gestures to a vacant spot above the forge, indicating that you, too, can etch your mark here if you learn the language of iron. And so begins your initiation into the world of symbols, signs, and secret meanings that give life to every piece forged in the Mande tradition. What might these markings be? What stories do they tell? Let's begin our exploration. The first set of symbols you encounter are the protective patterns, ancient designs that serve as shields against the unseen dangers that lurk at the edges of human perception. Illness, misfortune, and malevolent spirits are all potential threats in a world where the boundaries between the physical and spiritual are thin. To counter these, the blacksmiths have developed specific motifs that ward off harm and ensure safety. As the blacksmith shows you, certain shapes seem to embody power, strength, and invincibility. There's the cobra, its fangs bared in a silent snarl, a reminder that danger can be confronted head-on. The adinkray symbol for courage, a raised fist breaking through barriers, symbolizing the triumph of the human spirit over adversity. Even the humble sponge, with its many holes, becomes a potent symbol of protection, its design allowing harmful influences to pass through without causing harm. You realize that each symbol is a condensed story, a narrative of struggle, courage, and ultimate triumph that resonates with the human condition. But what about the blessings that these symbols convey? As you delve deeper into the craft, you discover that the blacksmiths also create motifs that attract positive energies and enhance the wielder's fortune. Fertility, prosperity, and success in endeavors are just some of the blessings bestowed upon those who understand the language of iron. The blacksmith points to a symbol representing a pregnant woman, a universal icon of fertility and abundance that promises new beginnings and bountiful harvests. He also shows you designs that incorporate animals revered for their speed, agility, and strength, such as the cheetah, elephant, and falcon, whose mere presence is believed to bring success and swiftness to those who honor them. As you absorb these teachings, you understand that the blacksmith's art is not just about shaping metal, but about shaping destinies, aligning the physical world with the spiritual one. It's a profound responsibility that the blacksmith takes on willingly, acting as a conduit between the seen and unseen realms. Let's take a moment to pause and reflect on the depth of these teachings. How does the blacksmith's knowledge of protective and blessing symbols influence the way people live their daily lives? How does it shape their interactions with each other and the world around them? And how does it help maintain the balance between the physical and spiritual dimensions of their existence? Feel free to share your thoughts and insights in the comments below. Your reflections might offer a different perspective or deepen our understanding of this intricate world. Now let us continue our journey into the heart of the Mande Blacksmiths craft and explore the next layer of their hidden knowledge. But before we move on, let us take a moment to acknowledge the beauty and complexity of the symbols and signs that give life to the Mande Blacksmiths' art. It is a testament to the human spirit's need to understand and interact with the world around us. These symbols are not just decorative elements, they're stories frozen in time. Narratives that connect us to the past and guide us towards a deeper understanding of ourselves and the universe we inhabit. Now let us continue our exploration of the blacksmith's trade and discover what other secrets lie within their hallowed halls. Another facet of the blacksmith's mystique is their ability to craft items that serve as markers of identity and lineage, establishing connections that transcend the individual and reach back through generations. In the blacksmith's shop, you come across a ceremonial knife whose handle is intricately carved with symbols that hold deep cultural significance. Each mark tells a story of the lineage from which it came, a tangible link to ancestors who wielded similar tools in times gone by. It's a powerful concept that imbues every piece of ironwork with a sense of history and continuity. The blacksmith explains that certain motifs are associated with particular villages, clans, or even spiritual lineages. For example, a wavy line might represent a river that cradled the birth of a clan, or a series of triangles could symbolize the peaks of a mountain that served as a refuge in ancient times. Some symbols, he says, are so deeply rooted in oral tradition that their meanings have been lost to the sands of time. They've simply become part of the collective consciousness, a visual shorthand for identity and belonging. As you listen, you realize that the blacksmith is not just a craftsman. He's a living archive, a keeper of cultural memory. His tools and weapons aren't just instruments of utility. They're repositories of meaning that connect the present to the past. This realization leads to another fascinating aspect of the blacksmith's art. Within the hidden language of iron, there are symbols that signify rank, mastery, and authority. The blacksmith shows you a ceremonial sword whose hilt is adorned with a spiral motif. This, he explains, represents a warrior's journey, a path that winds through challenges and triumphs, leading to enlightenment or victory. The number of turns in the spiral could indicate the level of expertise achieved by the blacksmith who forged it. Similarly, the Asante symbol for wisdom, a stylized eye surrounded by rays of light, might adorn the shield of a master craftsman. These markers of authority aren't just external indicators of skill, they also serve as constant reminders for the blacksmiths themselves. Each symbol is a silent teacher, urging its wielder to live up to its ideals, to strive for excellence in every piece they create. In this way, the blacksmith's tools and weapons become extensions of their souls, reflecting their values, beliefs, and aspirations. Let us pause here to appreciate the significance of identity and lineage in the world of the Mande blacksmiths. How do these symbols and signs shape a person's sense of self and connection to their community? How do they maintain cultural continuity and transmit heritage across generations? And how do they contribute to the overall social structure and organization of the community? Feel free to share your thoughts and insights in the comments below. Your reflections might shed light on the importance of these traditions in shaping human identity. Now, let us continue our journey into the depths of the Mande blacksmith's mystique and discover what other secrets lie within their ancient craft. Amidst the rhythmic clanging of the hammer on red-hot iron, you find yourself in the heart of the Mande blacksmith's domain, a realm where iron is more than just a material. It's a language, a conduit between the physical and spiritual dimensions of existence. As you've delved deeper into the blacksmith's trade, you've uncovered layers of meaning that resonate far beyond the creation of tools and weapons. The protective and blessing symbols, the markers of identity and lineage, all serve to remind you that you are standing at the threshold of a world that operates on principles you are only beginning to understand. There's a hushed reverence in the air, a quiet hum of power that emanates from the very walls of the blacksmith's shop. You realize that what you've witnessed here is not just a craft, it's a way of life, a philosophy that shapes every aspect of the community it touches. The blacksmiths, you understand, are not just artisans, they are interpreters of the unseen, weavers of destinies who shape the world according to the dictates of a wisdom that has been handed down through generations. As you stand there, bathed in the glow of the forge, surrounded by the whispers of ancestral voices, you know that your journey into the world of the Mande blacksmiths has just begun. The true essence of their mystique, the heart of their ancient craft, still lies hidden, waiting to be uncovered. Let us take a moment to acknowledge the profound impact the Mande blacksmith's traditions have had on our understanding of their culture and society. The intricate symbolism woven into every aspect of their art reveals a deep connection to their environment, their history, and the spiritual forces that guide their lives. It's a rich tapestry of meaning that invites us to see the world through their eyes and appreciate the harmony they've achieved between the physical and spiritual realms. As we conclude our exploration of this captivating world, let's also consider the broader significance of the Mande blacksmiths' legacy. Their enduring traditions serve as a reminder of the power of human creativity and the timeless allure of craftsmanship. The skills and knowledge they've passed down through generations continue to shape the cultural landscape, influencing art, society, and the spiritual fabric of their communities. And so, as we say goodbye to the blacksmith's forge, we carry with us the echoes of hammers on iron, the glint of sparks against the night sky, and the silent wisdom embedded in every piece of ironwork. The chiefs of Mande communities maintained authority not only through politics or warfare, but also through the guidance and control of craft. Among the most powerful were those who understood the blacksmith guilds. A chief's relationship with the smiths was delicate. Respect and cooperation brought prestige and protection, but mismanagement could unravel social harmony. Those who knew how to wield this power well often enjoyed greater stability and success. This included understanding when to consult with the smiths and what roles to assign them in different situations. A new market structure, a festival, or even a territorial dispute could involve the smiths. For example, let's say there's a land dispute with an adjacent community over fishing rights to a river. The local head of the judicial council might call a meeting in the village square to mediate the dispute. In attendance are the chief, elders, hunters, farmers, traders, and artisans, including a blacksmith. Each has a role to play in resolving the conflict peacefully. The hunters might recount historical precedents regarding fishing rights. Farmers discuss the impact of the river on agricultural lands. Traders weigh the economic consequences of restricting access to fish. And the blacksmith, drawing upon their unique insights, offers counsel as well. In this case, the smith suggests a compromise. They propose that each community will have access to a specific portion of the river, and that no one will be allowed to fish in the middle section. This temporary division can be symbolized by placing 2 iron rods into the river, marking the boundaries for each community. This solution, born out of the blacksmith's practical wisdom, ensures harmonious coexistence, enabling all parties to continue benefiting from the river without hindering each other's access. In times of peace, guild members were often called to perform rituals or create ceremonial objects for the chief's court. Such commissions were marks of prestige and ensured loyalty. This was true across the Mande world. From the Mandinka of West Africa to the Songhai of the Sahel, chiefs would grant certain privileges to master smiths who upheld their sacred and societal duties. These could include land, exemptions from labor or taxes, or even direct audience with the king. In return, blacksmiths' work reinforced the chief's authority. Their crafted symbols became emblems of leadership, and their protective charms safeguarded both palace and people. The forge in this way became a kind of diplomatic outpost, forging alliances as surely as it did iron. The relationship between chiefs and the blacksmith guilds wasn't just about power and prestige, though it was also a partnership rooted in necessity and mutual respect. You see, the craft of blacksmithing was highly valued because iron was essential for many aspects of life. The tools that shaped agriculture, defense, and trade were forged in the blacksmith's hut. Moreover, beyond their practical uses, iron tools and weapons held spiritual significance. They played key roles in rituals, sacrifices, and the creation of protective charms. Thus, the chief who understood this would often seek the blacksmith's counsel before making important decisions. This could involve consulting about a new law, seeking guidance during a drought, or even preparing for war. By doing so, the chief showed deference to the guild's wisdom, ensuring that decisions were not made in isolation but with the well-being of the entire community in mind. The blacksmiths, in turn, would use their knowledge of the unseen forces to temper the chief's plans, offering advice that balanced practicality with tradition and pragmatism with spirituality. This back and forth wasn't merely a display of power dynamics. It was a demonstration of how, in a complex society, even the most potent leaders benefited from collective wisdom. For instance, let us consider a situation where the chief wants to introduce a new tax on trade goods passing through his territory. He might summon the blacksmiths and explain his idea. The smiths, connected to merchants through their trade in iron tools and weapons, would likely know how such attacks would affect commerce. They might advise the chief that attacks on trade goods would disrupt the flow of vital supplies, potentially leading to shortages or discontent among merchants and traders. Understanding the potential ramifications, the chief could then adjust his plans, finding an alternative revenue source or modify the tax to make it more palatable. Such collaboration ensured that policies, however well-intentioned, didn't upend the social or economic fabric of the community. In this way, the forge became a place not just of metal, but of counsel, where the clang of the hammer gave way to the quieter wisdom of careful consideration. Sometimes the relationship between chiefs and blacksmiths took on a personal dimension. In many Mande societies, the blacksmiths' wives had a reputation for their beauty and were often sought after as partners. While some chiefs might view this as a chance to strengthen ties with the guild through marriage, others saw it as a potential source of contention. To mitigate this, some Mandinka chiefs enacted a custom known as the Bundamunka. This custom stipulated that anyone, including the chief, who wished to marry a blacksmith's daughter had to first serve an apprenticeship in the blacksmith's hut, learning the craft before the union was approved. This custom served several purposes. Firstly, it paid respect to the blacksmith's skill and societal importance. Secondly, it ensured that if the chief chose to marry a blacksmith's daughter, they would understand the demands of the craft and wouldn't exploit their position for personal gain. This mutual understanding fostered trust between the rulers and the smiths, smoothing the path for cooperation on matters of governance and well-being. This custom thus transformed a potential point of conflict into a bridge of understanding, weaving together the threads of power, respect, and shared purpose. But let's pause here for a moment, shall we? The fire crackles softly, casting dancing shadows across the courtyard. Can you hear the distant strains of a flute mingling with the rhythmic beat of a drum? This is a time for quiet reflection, a moment to appreciate the subtle harmonies that shape our world. Just as the flute and the drum weave together to create a richer melody, so too do the elements of our environment intertwine to support life. The warmth of the sun nourishes the earth, drawing forth life-giving water from the depths of the ground. This precious water sustains not only the growth of plants, but also the very essence of our being. And when the moon graces the night sky, its silvery glow influences the tides and whispers secrets to the dreaming world. Now, let's delve deeper into this fascinating topic, exploring how the blacksmiths navigated the complexities of their craft and their role in society. You see, blacksmiths were not just craftspeople, they were custodians of knowledge. Their understanding of metals, their properties, and their uses was unparalleled. They knew how to extract iron from its ore, how to forge it into tools and weapons, and how to imbue it with spiritual significance. This body of knowledge wasn't just passed down through generations, it was jealously guarded. Many blacksmithing communities had initiation rites and secret societies that ensured only the worthy could learn the intricacies of the craft. This exclusivity lent an air of mystery to blacksmiths, making their profession more than just a means of creating iron objects. It was a conduit to spiritual power. For instance, there were beliefs that iron had a life force similar to humans. To channel this energy, smiths might imbue iron with special powers through incantations or by embedding charms within the metal itself. As a result, iron tools weren't just instruments for farming or hunting. They were extensions of the blacksmith's will. A hunter's spear might be imbued with the power to pierce any game, or a farmer's axe might be blessed to ensure bountiful harvests. This blend of craftsmanship and magic made blacksmiths pivotal figures in their communities, shaping not just the tools of daily life, but also the spiritual fabric of their society. In some regions, blacksmiths' skills extended beyond crafting everyday items. They created elaborate ceremonial objects that were integral to religious ceremonies and rites of passage. For instance, in parts of Mali, blacksmiths were responsible for creating the magnificent lion masks used in the Sigui ceremony, a celebration of the link between the blacksmiths and the spirits of the forest. These masks, with their fierce expressions and intricate designs, were believed to embody the very essence of the lions themselves, becoming conduits between the human and spirit worlds. Such craftsmanship elevated the blacksmith's role from that of a mere tradesperson to that of an artist and ritual leader. And yet, despite their importance, blacksmiths weren't immune to the challenges and prejudices of their time. They faced discrimination in some communities due to their handling of dangerous materials like hot metal and their association with death, since their products could be used as weapons. Additionally, the fumes and soot from their forges could be seen as polluting, leading to further marginalization. To overcome these hurdles, blacksmiths often formed close-knit guilds, providing mutual support and safeguarding their traditions. These guilds not only protected their members, but also served as training grounds for younger smiths, ensuring the continuity of their knowledge and skills. Through such associations, blacksmiths were able to not only preserve their craft, but also maintain their status as vital contributors to their societies. The steady rhythm of the hammer against steel echoes through the village, carrying the eye-old wisdom of the Mandinka people. For these villagers, their world is deeply intertwined with the magic of iron. It's a power they've harnessed for generations, shaping it into tools, weapons, and works of art. But the reach of the Mande blacksmith extends far beyond the confines of the village forge. His influence seeps into the bustling networks of trade that thread through West Africa, touching the lives of countless people and shaping the very flow of wealth in the region. As the sun ascends in the azure sky, the Mande marketplace awakens. Stalls laden with vibrant fabrics, glistening beads, and intricate wood carvings beckon to buyers from distant lands. Yet, amidst this kaleidoscope of commerce, there exists an unspoken understanding. Those who control the production of iron hold the reins of wealth. The Mande blacksmith, with his arcane knowledge and skilled hands, has mastered the art of transforming ordinary iron into extraordinary tools, weapons, and ceremonial items. Each piece he crafts carries with it not just practicality, but also a silent narrative of power and prestige. And the traders here are well versed in the language of iron, knowing that a well-crafted axe head from a renowned smith can not only expedite their work, but also symbolize their status among their peers. Agriot, the keeper of history and praise singer, steps forward, his gaze, sweeping across the marketplace, settles upon a group of blacksmiths displaying their wares. Their stalls are a testament to the versatility of iron, each piece resonating with the echo of the hammer's dance. Among them, a grizzled old man stands apart, his weathered face a map of time etched with wisdom and experience. This is no ordinary blacksmith. He is a mastersmith, a conduit between the raw power of iron and the tangible tools and weapons that shape lives. As the market bustles with activity, he doesn't just watch. He engages, his eyes twinkling with mirth and understanding. His presence is a magnet for all who seek not just iron goods, but also a piece of the smith's legendary wisdom. Then arrives a trader, his keen eyes scanning the market, seeking not just any axe head or spear, but one that whispers of quality and durability. He turns to the oldest smith, recognizing the depth of experience behind those calloused hands. A conversation ensues, not just about iron and steel, but about the very essence of their craft. The trader understands that the true value of the smith's work lies not just in the metal, but in the stories embedded within each swing of the hammer. Yet this is no mere haggling over price. There's a profound connection here, a shared understanding of the symbiotic relationship between blacksmith and trader. They are two sides of the same coin, each dependent on the other for their livelihood and success. For the trader, the blacksmith's reputation is a valuable commodity. A weapon forged by the old smith will not only serve him well, but will also carry with it the tacit endorsement of a master craftsman. And the smith, in turn, relies on the trader to carry his creations to distant markets, ensuring that his skills and reputation spread far and wide. But the bond between them goes deeper still. It's interwoven with a dash of magic, a touch of the mystical that permeates every aspect of Mande life. Before embarking on a journey, the trader might consult with the smith, seeking a charm or symbol to ensure safe travels. In return, he might offer the smith rare imports from distant lands, materials not found locally, enhancing the smith's craft and deepening their bond. This exchange is not just about trade or commerce. It's about building trust, fostering mutual respect, and creating a sense of community that transcends the marketplace. With the understanding of their symbiotic relationship established, let us now delve into the intricate process of how the Mande blacksmith's work influences the flow of wealth. Imagine a vast network of trade routes, stretching across West Africa, connecting distant kingdoms and bustling markets. Along these routes, the Mande blacksmiths' tools and weapons are highly sought after, not just for their quality and durability, but also for the power they symbolize. A sharp and sturdy iron axe, for instance, means the difference between a successful hunt and an empty stomach. It's a tool that provides sustenance, ensuring that the hunter can gather food for his family and contribute to the community. In a region where agriculture and hunting are vital for survival, the blacksmith's work directly impacts the livelihood of the people. But it's not just about practicality. In a society where respect and status are earned through bravery and strength, the Mande blacksmith's weapons play a pivotal role. Spears and swords, forged with skill and precision, enhance a warrior's prowess on the battlefield, allowing him to defend his people and claim his place in history. Such prowess often translates into wealth, power, and prestige, factors that directly benefit the smith whose creation played a part in it. This influence extends to the realm of trade itself, where negotiations are as much about strategy and power as they are about numbers and resources. A powerful symbol or charm on display during a trade negotiation can sway the balance in the trader's favor. The Mande blacksmith's work becomes a silent partner in these transactions, ensuring that his client gains the upper hand in securing favorable deals. However, this influence doesn't arise overnight. It's the product of years of hard work, skill development, and reputation building. The Mande blacksmith takes pride in his craft, constantly honing his skills to produce the best possible tools and weapons. He experiments with different techniques, learns from both successes and failures, and never compromises on the quality of his materials. Over time, he builds a reputation for excellence, drawing customers from far and wide. Central to the blacksmith's rise to prominence is his ability to understand and adapt to the evolving needs of his community. He doesn't just rely on traditional techniques. Instead, he observes the challenges faced by farmers, hunters, and warriors, and seeks to develop solutions through his craft. He might experiment with new shapes, sizes, and alloys, always striving to improve his product and better serve his community. This dedication to progress and innovation ensures that the blacksmith remains relevant, his skills in constant demand and his influence firmly established. Furthermore, the Mande blacksmith plays a crucial role in maintaining the cultural heritage of his community. He's often the custodian of ancient techniques passed down through generations, ensuring that the knowledge and traditions of his ancestors are preserved. This role as a keeper of cultural heritage not only earns him respect within his community, but also sets him apart, making his work even more valuable. Finally, the blacksmith's influence is amplified by the traders, who recognize the value of his work and actively promote it in their own endeavors. The symbiotic relationship between blacksmith and trader is evident here, where each party appreciates and supports the other's role in their society. The trader understands that promoting the blacksmith's work will enhance his own standing, while the blacksmith knows that the trader's support helps him to reach a wider audience and maintain his reputation. In essence, the Mande blacksmith's influence on the flow of wealth stems from his ability to provide essential tools and weapons, shape community dynamics through his work, and preserve cultural heritage. His influence is a testament to the power of skill, dedication, and understanding of one's community. Now let's shift our focus to the traders, who form a close bond with the blacksmiths. Imagine a caravan winding its way through the bustling marketplace, laden with goods from distant lands. Among them are tools and weapons from the Mande blacksmith, each piece a testament to the smith's skill and power. As the caravan prepares to depart, a sense of anticipation fills the air. The traders know that the journey ahead will be fraught with challenges, and they rely on the power embedded in the blacksmith's work to guide them through. Before the caravan sets off, there's a quiet ritual. The traders gather around their tents, carefully arranging the iron artifacts, each piece telling a story of strength, durability, and prestige. Among them, an old man with eyes that mirror the wisdom of ages past, a blacksmith. His journey with the caravan is not just as a mere traveler, but as a living testament to the power of iron. He's not just a craftsman, he's a guide, a mentor, and a silent guardian. His presence is a beacon of assurance for the traders, a symbol of the strength and protection his work embodies. As night falls, casting long shadows across the campsite, the traders gather around a flickering lantern inside their tent. The air is thick with anticipation and respect. The conversation between the traders and the blacksmith is not just about business, it's about tradition, reverence, and shared purpose. The blacksmith speaks of ancient techniques, of the mystical properties of iron, and the responsibility that comes with wielding such power. The traders listen intently, their faces illuminated by the lamplight, their expressions a mixture of awe and determination. They understand that the journey ahead is not just about commerce, it's about navigating the unpredictable terrain of trade, protecting their goods and ensuring their prosperity. And they know that the blacksmith's guidance is invaluable in this endeavor. But the relationship between the traders and the blacksmith isn't a one-way street. It's a partnership built on mutual respect and shared purpose. The traders bring with them stories from distant lands, tales of cultures, customs, and challenges that broaden the blacksmith's perspective. They share their experiences, their challenges, and their hopes, creating a bond that transcends the transactional. The blacksmith, in turn, listens intently, his weathered face etched with understanding, his eyes twinkling with wisdom. He recognizes that trade is more than just the exchange of goods. It's a dance of cultures, a testament to human ingenuity, and a driving force of societal evolution. The blacksmith doesn't just offer tools and weapons. He imparts knowledge, sharing his expertise on the properties of iron and the best ways to utilize his creations. He talks about the symbolism embedded in each piece, the cultural nuances and the subtle ways in which his work can influence perceptions and interactions. By the end of the evening, a sense of camaraderie fills the tent. The traders, armed with the knowledge and confidence instilled by the blacksmith, feel ready to face the challenges ahead. They understand that their success isn't just about the goods they carry, but also about the partnerships they've forged and the wisdom they've gained along the way. In essence, the bond between the Mande traders and blacksmiths is a rich tapestry woven with threads of respect, shared purpose, and mutual growth. It's a reminder that in the grand marketplace of life, the most valuable currency is often the connections we make along the way. And so, under the canopy of a darkening sky, the caravan departs, carrying with it not just goods and provisions, but the spirit of collaboration, the strength of tradition, and the promise of shared prosperity. As the fire in the tent dies down and the embers glow softly, it leaves behind a quiet understanding, a silent testament to the enduring power of human connection and the magic of a shared purpose. And there you have it, a captivating exploration of the Mande blacksmith's influence on the world around him. In the world of the Mande, where the Dogon, Bambara, and other ethnic groups thrived, the blacksmith's forge was more than a workplace. It was a threshold to the spirit world. Over this threshold stood the ritual specialists of the guild, the elders, priests, and ceremonial leaders who ensured that the mysteries of iron were preserved and passed on with reverence. Their role was to guard the spiritual balance between fire, earth, and metal, weaving together the physical and unseen worlds. These specialists didn't just oversee apprenticeships or monitor techniques. They presided over the invisible rituals that framed blacksmithing itself. From purification rites before smelting to protective invocations during weapon making, every stage required their oversight. The guild understood that without ceremony, iron became dangerous, an element of chaos rather than a tool of life. The blacksmith's work was inherently perilous. Smelting or involved temperatures so high that ordinary caution meant little. Hammers struck red-hot metal with such force that even the sturdiest arm could be injured. Then there was the unpredictable nature of the materials themselves. An impure lump of iron could shatter unexpectedly, sending sparks flying or releasing noxious fumes. Each step of the process demanded respect and appeasement of the forces both seen and unseen. And so the ritual specialists were indispensable. While the blacksmith heated metal or plunged it into quenching water, the specialists maintained the sacred perimeter. No outsider was allowed within the danger zone. Only those initiated into the guild's customs could cross the threshold. For them, the forge was a liminal space where the mundane world ended and the realm of spirits began. As iron yielded to the hammer's blows and took shape, so too were the blacksmith's intentions imbued with spiritual significance. Every tool, every weapon bore not just its intended function, but also a silent testament to the power of transformation. At the heart of this sacred precinct stood the fire, the very lifeblood of the forge. It wasn't just a source of heat, but a conduit between the earth and the heavens. When the bellows began their rhythmic roar, it was as if the spirits themselves were being summoned. The fire's glowing heart provided not just light, but illumination of the unseen. And as the smith watched its flickering tongue, he wasn't just reading the progress of his work, he was deciphering messages from the spirit world. It was the responsibility of the ritual specialists to ensure that this fire burned pure and strong. Before each session, they conducted ceremonies to purify the hearth. driving out any lingering spirits and infusing the flames with the energy needed for the task at hand. They also maintained a constant vigil against malevolent forces, ready to banish any entity that sought to disrupt the forge's sanctity. This wasn't just about protecting the blacksmith, it was about safeguarding the entire community. For the tools born of the forge weren't just instruments of craft. They were extensions of the blacksmith's will, imbued with the collective hopes and needs of the people. A hoe might seem like a simple tool, but in the hands of a Mande blacksmith, it became a conduit for cultivating not just the earth, but prosperity itself. A spear wasn't just a weapon, but a channel for directing courage and protection. Each item leaving the forge bore the imprint of the community's aspirations, and the ritual specialists were there to ensure that this imprint was clear and strong. But their role went beyond mere protection. The ritual specialists also mediated disputes within the guild and beyond. If a blacksmith failed in his duty, made a dangerous mistake, or dishonored traditions, it was these figures who restored harmony. Through divination and symbolic gestures, they affirmed the guild's authority not only in craft, but in moral and spiritual guidance. In many villages, their words held as much weight as the chief's. When a young blacksmith struggled with a particularly stubborn piece of metal, it wasn't just his skill that was questioned, but his understanding of the spiritual lesson embedded in the material. The ritual specialists would intervene, not to do the work for him, but to guide him, to remind him of the deeper purpose behind his craft. Theirs was a delicate balancing act, ensuring that the blacksmith remained tethered to the spiritual essence of his work, lest he become consumed by the very forces he commanded. The rhythm of the forge wasn't just dictated by the bellows and the hammer, it was also shaped by the cycles of the cosmos, the phases of the moon, the movement of the seasons, and the positions of the stars all played a part in determining when certain tasks could be undertaken. The ritual specialists were intimately familiar with these cycles and their influence on the smith's work. A full moon might be ideal for tempering, a waning one for shaping. The rising of certain constellations could signal the right time for forging tools for planting or harvesting. This wasn't just about practicality. It was about recognizing the interconnectedness of all things. The forge wasn't an isolated place. It was a node in a vast network of existence. And the ritual specialists made sure that this network was honored. They also mediated between the blacksmiths and the spirits, ensuring that the necessary offerings were made at the appropriate times. These weren't just tokens of respect, they were vital links in maintaining the delicate balance that allowed the forge to thrive. Ceremonial oversight extended into the rhythms of community life. Blacksmiths often led seasonal rituals, celebrations of planting, harvest, or protection against misfortune. Iron charms blessed by the guild carried the seal of ritual authority, ensuring that households, farms, and warriors felt the presence of sacred guardianship. Through these acts, the guild linked daily survival to the deeper fabric of meaning. In essence, the ritual specialists were the weavers of continuity, ensuring that the blacksmith's work not only met the immediate needs of the community, but also resonated with the eternal truths of their world. They were the keepers of wisdom, passing down not just techniques, but also the profound understanding that made blacksmithing more than a trade, a living covenant between human hands and the mysteries of creation. The blacksmiths were not merely artisans, they were participants in a grand cosmic dance. Their craft was a dialogue between fire, earth, and metal, choreographed by the ritual specialists in harmony with the celestial ballet above. Each swing of the hammer echoed the rhythm of the universe. Each piece that emerged from the forge bore witness to the eternal truths embedded in its very core. Theirs was a legacy woven into the fabric of existence itself. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows across the savannah, the forge fell quiet. The rhythmic clang of hammer on steel subsided, replaced by the soft murmur of evening. The ritual specialists, their faces illuminated by the firelight, gathered in a circle. Their hands, gnarled with age and experience, rested on the iron tools laid carefully in the center. The air was thick with the scent of cooling metal and wood smoke, a testament to the day's work. But it was more than just a day's work. It had been a communion with the spirits, a reaffirmation of the bond between humanity and the unseen forces that shaped their world. In the fading light, the elders raised their heads, their eyes reflecting the wisdom of generations past. They closed their eyes, and for a moment there was silence. It wasn't an empty silence, but a pregnant pause filled with the weight of tradition and the anticipation of what was to come. Then slowly, one of the elders began to chant. His voice, deep and resonant, carried the cadence of ancient rhythms. The others joined in, their voices weaving together into a tapestry of sound. The melody flowed around the circle, each voice adding its unique timbre to the whole. It was a song of thanks, a hymn of praise to the spirits that had been called upon, and a prayer for the blessings they had bestowed. The fire crackled, responding to the rhythm of the chant, and the shadows danced in time to the music. It was as if the very elements were joining in the celebration, acknowledging the harmony that had been achieved. The younger blacksmiths watched, their faces awestruck, as the elders wove their magic with words and melodies. They knew that this was more than just a ritual. It was a communion with the very soul of their craft. It was a reminder that their work was not merely the creation of tools and weapons, but a conduit for the spiritual energies that flowed through their world. And so they stood, bathed in the firelight, listening, learning, preparing to take their place in the ancient lineage of blacksmiths. The night deepened, and the music swelled, carrying on the night breeze, blending with the silence of the savannah, a testament to the enduring power of tradition and the timeless allure of the blacksmith's art. In the heart of the Mande world, where empires once thrived and griots wove their enchanting tales, there existed a profound connection between the mighty chiefs and the enigmatic blacksmiths. The Mande, renowned for their rich cultures and societal structures, had a deep reverence for the blacksmiths, whose skills transcended the mundane and delved into the realm of the spiritual. In this intricate social fabric, the blacksmiths held a unique position, shaping not only the material world, but also the very essence of power and authority. Their relationship with the chiefs was a fascinating interplay of respect, necessity, and subtle influence. It was an intricate dance, where each partner's moves were crucial to the harmony of the entire kingdom. In this journey through time, we'll explore this captivating relationship and uncover the secrets that blacksmiths held so close. Let's delve into the past and discover how blacksmiths wove their magic into the Mande society. Picture a majestic Mandinka chief, adorned in flowing robes, his presence radiating authority. He stands tall, not just as a leader, but as a symbol of unity, strength, and prosperity for his people. His lineage a testament to generations of wisdom and courage. But even amidst the opulence of his royal attire, there's a hint of vulnerability, a recognition that even those in power are not immune to the necessities of life. For the chief, like any other member of his kingdom, is mortal and in need of protection. And who better to provide this essential service than the enigmatic blacksmiths? You see, in the world of the Mande, the forge was more than just a place of work. It was a portal to the spiritual realm, a crucible where iron sang with the spirits, and where the blacksmiths, acting as intermediaries, brought the unseen forces into the physical world. Each strike of the hammer was a prayer, each ember a whisper of ancient incantations. The weapons they forged were not mere tools of war, but extensions of the chief's power, imbued with the strength of the tribe and the blessings of their ancestors. The relationship between the chief and the blacksmith wasn't a casual one. It was a pact forged in mutual respect and understanding. When the chief prepared to wage war, to expand his territory, or to defend his people, he turned to the blacksmiths. Their skills were vital, their knowledge revered. But the blacksmiths did not simply hand over these instruments of power. They understood the responsibility that came with imbuing weapons with the chief's authority and the power they possessed. They approached this task with reverence and caution, ensuring that every spear, every sword, and every arrow was not just strong and sharp, but also carried the blessings of the unseen forces. This infusion of spiritual power was what set the Mandinka warriors apart in battle, giving them strength and courage beyond their own. Weapons forged in secrecy were presented to the chief in elaborate ceremonies, marking not just the transfer of a tool, but the bestowal of sacred trust. The Blacksmiths Guild, with its ancient traditions and esoteric knowledge, played a pivotal role in the Mandinka Empire's socio-political structure. Its members were not just craftsmen, but custodians of a legacy that spanned generations. Their skills were highly sought after, not just by the chief, but by members of the nobility and influential figures across the empire. But the blacksmiths' influence extended beyond the battlefield. Their artistry played a crucial role in shaping the very symbols of authority. Crowns, staffs of office, ceremonial bracelets, all bore the blacksmith's mark. These were not just symbols, they were talismans that carried the weight of tradition, power, and cultural identity. Without them, a chief's authority would be incomplete, his recognition fragile. Imagine a vast assembly of villagers gathered before their chief. The setting sun casts long shadows as the old chief stands, holding a staff of office passed down through generations. The staff, a masterpiece of iron and gold, is a silent testament to the blacksmith's skill and the chief's lineage. Each curve and twist whispers tales of past rulers, their struggles and triumphs resonating through the ages. As the chief raises the staff, the crowd murmurs in reverence. It's not just a symbol, it's a link to the past, present, and future, a promise of continuity and leadership. However, the relationship between the chief and the blacksmiths was not a one-sided one. The blacksmiths, in turn, relied on the chief for protection, for land, and for social standing. The chiefs, recognizing the value of the blacksmiths' skills, granted them noble status, ensuring their safety and granting them access to resources. In return, the blacksmiths pledged their allegiance, offering their services to the crown and helping to maintain the social order. The blacksmiths' monopoly on the production of these power-laden artifacts gave them a unique social standing. They weren't just craftsmen, they were advisors, confidants, and partners in governance. They were the ones who could shape not just the physical attributes of power, but also its perception. Blacksmiths played a critical role in the political landscape of the Mali Empire. Their ability to create objects imbued with power meant that they were often called upon to settle disputes or mediate conflicts. Their neutrality and expertise lent credibility to their judgments, making their decisions pivotal in maintaining peace within the empire. Furthermore, the blacksmiths' influence extended to the realm of religion and rituals. Their intimate knowledge of the spiritual forces that animated their creations made them key players in religious ceremonies. During festivals and rituals, they were often called upon to create or repair sacred objects. ensuring the continuity of spiritual practices that were integral to the empire's cultural fabric. To understand the depth of their influence, imagine a grand ceremony under the sprawling branches of a baobab tree, a symbol of the community's resilience and wisdom. The aging chief seeks to pass on his staff of office to his chosen successor. The air is thick with anticipation as the blacksmiths, acting as custodians of tradition, present the newly crafted staff to the incoming ruler. This isn't just a transfer of power. It is a symbolic representation of the blacksmith's role in shaping leadership and ensuring the perpetuation of cultural norms. Now, picture a young Mandinka warrior preparing for his first hunt. His father, a respected hunter himself, presents him with a specially crafted bow and arrows. These aren't just tools, they're tools imbued with lessons and blessings. The father's guidance echoes in each notch and groove, serving as a constant reminder of his heritage and responsibilities. This intimate relationship between hunter and blacksmith becomes a metaphor for the larger bond between the community and its craftspeople. The blacksmith's influence wasn't limited to the realm of the tangible. They were storytellers, too, passing down their knowledge and traditions through oral accounts that were as powerful as the artifacts they created. These stories didn't just entertain, they educated, ensuring that the younger generation understood the deeper meanings and significance embedded in each object they created. Their monopoly on this essential aspect of power inevitably led to questions about their origins and identities. The blacksmiths were often shrouded in mystery, adding to their mystique and reinforcing their pivotal role in society. Their origins were traced back to mythical ancestors, heroes or tricksters who had descended from the heavens or emerged from the depths of the earth, carrying with them the secrets of metalworking. This mystique was further enhanced by the secrecy that surrounded their craft. Certain techniques were passed down only to initiates, creating a sense of exclusivity that emphasized the special nature of their skills. The blacksmiths' workshops were often secluded, not just for practical reasons, but also to maintain the sanctity of their work. It was believed that blacksmiths possessed a unique understanding of the spiritual realm, which they harnessed to imbue their creations with power. This spiritual connection was central to their craft, setting them apart from other artisans and endowing their creations with extraordinary qualities. The blacksmith's importance is reflected in their artistic creations, which are not merely functional, but are imbued with symbolism and spiritual significance. Their works, whether for royalty or commoners, carry within them the essence of the wearer's identity, status, and spiritual beliefs. For example, the masks they crafted for ceremonies and rituals are not just decorative, they are embodiments of spirits or ancestral beings. These masks serve as conduits between the physical and spiritual worlds, giving life to the supernatural through their intricate designs and symbolism. The blacksmith's tools themselves are often seen as extensions of their creators, imbued with the same level of craftsmanship and spiritual attention. Even the humble hammer becomes a tool of creation, shaping not just metal, but also the spiritual essence of their creations. Their artistic legacy includes exquisite jewelry pieces that are not only symbols of wealth and status, but also tangible links to the spiritual realm. These adornments become more than accessories. They transform into talismans that offer protection, attract good fortune, or signify spiritual devotion. The blacksmith's influence was so profound that their creations were often incorporated into burial rituals, reflecting their importance in all aspects of life and even death. Their work ensured the deceased's journey into the afterlife was as dignified and well-equipped as possible, highlighting the esteem in which they were held. As we delve deeper into the world of the Mande blacksmiths, we encounter a group of individuals who were not just skilled craftsmen, but were deeply intertwined with the political, social, and spiritual fabric of their communities. Their creations were not just beautiful or functional, they were imbued with power, meaning, and a profound connection to the spiritual realm. The presence of a blacksmith's guild was never just about crafting tools. It was about shaping the invisible architecture of village life. In many societies, blacksmiths were woven into the heartbeat of governance, their influence stretching far beyond the anvil. Every hoe that broke the soil, every spear that defended the boundary, every bracelet that sealed a marriage, all were testimonies to their subtle but undeniable hand in ordering society. When tempers flared between lineages, the word of a smith could settle arguments faster than a warrior's blade. Councils often relied on them not only for weapons or tools, but also for mediation. Their neutrality in disputes was tied to their liminal role. Not quite rulers, not quite commoners, yet feared and respected enough to arbitrate. By holding knowledge of both utility and ritual, they became bridges between different factions of the village. When tempers flared between lineages, the word of a smith could settle arguments faster than a warrior's blade. Their insights into the core of a dispute, say a broken tool on a hunt or a flawed weapon in battle, allowed them to cut through posturing. They spoke a language both parties understood. Functionality, a shield was more than wood and iron. It was a statement of protection. A plough was more than metal and wood. It was a promise of sustenance. And it was this intimate understanding of the tools that governed daily life that made their decisions so pivotal. Blacksmiths didn't just fix or fashion these objects. They internalized their purpose. This understanding gave them a unique perspective when mediating conflicts. Take, for instance, a disagreement over land rights. Unlike warriors, who might see the dispute as a challenge to dominance, or elders, who could be swayed by lineage claims, the blacksmith saw it in terms of productivity. How would the division of the land affect planting and harvest? What were the tools needed, and how would they be used? Their solution often centered on functionality and necessity, sometimes coming up with creative uses of tools or land that neither party had considered. A piece of land deemed unusable by others because it was too stony or too marshy, they might suggest, could be turned into a blacksmith's yard, a communal space where tools could be sharpened and maintained, thus benefiting everyone. Such solutions weren't just practical, they were ingenious. For example, in some villages, blacksmiths might propose the use of a special type of sickle, one that could cut through tall grasses without damaging the roots. This way, villagers could manage their fields efficiently while ensuring the grasses, which might have medicinal properties or be used for thatching, remained intact. Or they might devise a new type of plough that could navigate the contours of a hilly terrain, thus making better use of land that was previously considered too difficult to cultivate. These solutions weren't merely functional. They held a deeper significance. The blacksmith's proposals served as a constant reminder of the value of practicality and ingenuity, urging the community to see beyond their immediate differences and focus on the bigger picture, the prosperity of the village as a whole. But their role went beyond settling arguments. They were integral to the very structure of governance. The rhythm of governance itself often mirrored the forge. Chiefs timed meetings or rituals around the seasons of planting and harvest, all enabled by smith-made tools, the chief's power to command, the warrior's power to protect, the farmer's power to provide. All were ultimately amplified by the unseen hand of the blacksmith. The success of a village head wasn't just about wielding authority, it was also about getting things done, enacting policies that ensured order and prosperity. And at the heart of this lay the blacksmiths' cooperation. Imagine a scenario where the village head decrees a new system of land allocation to ensure fairness. Without the blacksmiths, this decree could remain just that, a well-intentioned idea, but with their support, it transformed into a tangible reality. Well, the blacksmiths, with their deep understanding of land and its use, could modify existing tools or create new ones that were better suited to the new land divisions. For example, if land was now being divided into smaller plots for more equitable distribution, the blacksmiths could create or adapt tools like sickles and plows that were more efficient for smaller areas. This didn't just make the new system functional, it also built consensus. Villagers saw the tangible benefits of the new system in action in the form of more efficient tools. Any resistance or resentment they might have had slowly eroded as they experienced firsthand the practicality of the changes. Similarly, imagine a situation where the village head mandates a new defensive strategy to protect the community. Once again, without the blacksmiths, this strategy remains just that, a mere suggestion, but with their cooperation, it takes on the form of reality. Blacksmiths, with their intimate knowledge of what makes a weapon effective, can craft or modify tools that align with the new strategy. For example, if the defense strategy calls for using longer spears to better defend against incoming attacks, then blacksmiths can create or adapt spears accordingly. This doesn't just make the new strategy functional, but also fosters compliance. Villagers are more likely to follow a strategy that they see is being practically implemented. Seeing the new spears in their hands, they feel a sense of preparedness and confidence that encourages them to adhere to the new system. In this sense, the blacksmiths were the hidden ministers of progress, ensuring the chief's decrees could actually be carried out. But their influence wasn't solely behind the scenes. Sometimes it was evident and celebrated. Many societies had rituals and ceremonies that marked important transitions. Moments like a young warrior proving their mettle in battle or a couple celebrating their marriage. And at the center of these often stood the blacksmiths. They didn't just craft the tools for these events, they were part of them. Take, for instance, the marriage ceremony. It was not uncommon for a blacksmith to be called upon to create symbolic items like the ceremonial sword signifying the union of two families, or the padlock representing the bond between the couple. This wasn't merely a decorative role. It imbued the ceremony with a sense of permanence and importance. The blacksmith, through their craft, was sanctifying the event, making it more than just a gathering, but a significant milestone in the lives of the community members. Furthermore, the blacksmith's role extended to the realm of law enforcement. In many communities, they were responsible for maintaining and repairing the tools and weapons of the village, esguard, or police force. A guard's sword, or a prison's lock, or the shackles used to maintain order. All were dependent on the blacksmith's skill and cooperation. Without their support, the very instruments of law and order could fall into disrepair, potentially leading to chaos and unrest. By ensuring that these tools were in working order, the blacksmiths were indirectly contributing to the maintenance of stability and security within the village. In essence, the blacksmiths weren't just craftspeople. They were the backbone of the village's socio-political structure. Their tools didn't just serve immediate needs, they shaped the very fabric of society. Every piece of metal they forged or repaired was a testament to their multifaceted role, a silent ode to the blacksmiths who held up the mirror of functionality, reflecting the true nature of their communities. And with that profound reflection, we come to the end of our exploration into the blacksmith's world. A spear was never only a weapon, it was a ritual object infused with authority. A plough was not simply a farming tool, it carried the weight of renewal, fertility, and the chief's promise of abundance. This layering of meaning turned the blacksmith's work into something larger than craft. It became a constant affirmation of order. The blacksmiths didn't just shape metal, they shaped meaning. And in doing so, they held a power that few could ignore. But this power wasn't wielded openly. It was quiet, insidious, growing from the fertile ground of a society's deepest needs and fears. Imagine, if you will, a village nestled in the crook of a river valley. Life here follows the slow, steady rhythm of the seasons. Crops are planted, nurtured, and harvested. The cycle of life, death, and rebirth plays out in the rustling leaves and the cycles of light and dark. At the heart of this community stands a sturdy longhouse, the home of the village chief. It's a place of refuge, of counsel, and of ceremony. One day, a chill wind sweeps through the valley, carrying with it the scent of change and the promise of winter. The villagers gather in the longhouse. Their faces, etched with the labor of a year's work, are lit by the flickering glow of the hearth. The chief sits at the center, his gaze grave, his shoulders heavy with the burden of leadership. The blacksmith enters the longhouse, his gait sure, his eyes sharp. He carries with him a staff of seasoned oak, its tip honed to a fine point. This is no ordinary staff. It's a scepter of office, a conduit of power. The blacksmith carefully places the staff in the hands of the chief, who in turn raises it high, its tip reflecting the firelight like a nascent star. In that moment, the blacksmith has not just delivered a staff, he has bestowed authority, legitimacy, power. As the fire crackles and pops, casting dancing shadows on the walls, the Blacksmiths Guild stands as an unbreakable pillar of tradition, shaping the world with every hammer blow. Theirs is a legacy woven into the very fabric of existence, a testament to the enduring strength and quiet influence of the blacksmiths. In many cultures, the role of the blacksmith went far beyond creating tools and weapons. Blacksmiths were integral to the spiritual and political life of their communities. They were the creators, the shapers of metal, but also the shapers of meaning. Every piece they crafted carried with it a narrative, a story of strength, of defense, of power. Take, for instance, the magnificent war shields. Each dent and etching told a tale of valor, of battles fought and won. These weren't just pieces of wood and leather, they were monologues of courage, each scar a testament to the bravery of its owner. Then there were the ceremonial masks, each curve and contour designed not just to impress, but to invoke. They were visages of deities, spirits, ancestors, worn not to conceal, but to transform, to become. The blacksmith's work was deeply entwined with the rhythms of life, the cycles of planting and harvest, the ebb and flow of seasons. The ploughs that turned the soil were more than tools. They were instruments of renewal, each furrow a prayer for fertility, each turn a plea for bountiful yields. Even the humble horseshoe, nailed with precision, was a charm against evil, a ward against misfortune. This infusion of meaning into everyday objects didn't just make the blacksmith's work revered, it made it indispensable. The blacksmith was not just a craftsman, he was a storyteller, an artist, a conduit between the mundane and the mythical. His creations weren't just objects, they were chapters in the book of life, each bearing the stamp of his skill and the imprint of his culture's soul. But perhaps the most compelling aspect of the blacksmith's legacy is the aura of secrecy that clung to his craft. In many cultures, blacksmiths were associated with magic, their forges glowing not just with the heat of labor, but with the mystique of the unknown. Their knowledge was hard-won, their techniques jealously guarded, their trade not easily entered. their secrets passed down through generations like precious heirlooms. This air of mystery wasn't just a product of their unique skills. It was a conscious choice, a way to safeguard their position, to ensure their importance was not overlooked. By shrouding their craft in enigma, blacksmiths created a barrier, keeping their knowledge safe, their status elevated. Now, let us step into the realm of power, where the anvil's ring echoes with authority and the blacksmith's hammer beats out the measure of influence. Here, we delve into the intriguing ways the Blacksmiths Guild wove itself into the very fabric of leadership. In many societies, the transition of power wasn't just a political event. It was a theatrical spectacle. A ceremony designed not just to transfer authority, but to imbue it, to sanctify it. And at the heart of these ceremonies often stood the blacksmith, his tools and his fire serving as sacred props in this grand drama of governance. When a new chief rose to power, when a king took his seat on the throne, the blacksmith was there. His presence an echo of tradition, his work a symbol of continuity. He would fashion or bring forth objects imbued with significance. Scepters, staffs, swords, each bearing the weight of the community's hopes and aspirations. These weren't just ceremonial items, they were talismans of authority, tokens that signified the transfer of power. The blacksmith in this context wasn't just a craftsman. He was a ritual performer, a weaver of traditions, a conduit between the old and the new. In the act of bestowing these symbols of power, the blacksmith played a pivotal role in legitimizing the ruler, in affirming his right to lead, in giving him the tools to govern. This integration of the blacksmith into the rituals of power didn't just establish the ruler's authority, it also subtly reinforced the guild's own standing, reminding the community of the blacksmith's importance, their indispensability, their power, and yet, despite this close association with power, blacksmiths rarely held positions of authority themselves. Their role was to serve the ruler, to provide the tools and symbols of power, not to wield them. This might seem like a contradiction, but it was a necessary one. The blacksmith's work was too crucial, his skills too vital to be entrusted to someone who might use them for personal gain. By keeping the blacksmiths out of positions of direct power, the society ensured that the focus remained on the ruler, on the community's leaders. The blacksmith was important, yes, but his importance was derivative, secondary to the greater good of the state. This may have created a sense of frustration, a desire to wield the very power they helped install. But it was a frustration kept in check, a desire kept at bay by the very nature of their work. For the blacksmith wasn't just a craftsman. He was a servant of the state, a purveyor of order, a guardian of tradition. And these roles came with their own rewards, their own forms of power. Blacksmiths were like the keepers of a sacred flame, their forge ever burning, their hammers ever ringing. They were the architects of the tangible, the molders of iron, the shapers of steel, and in doing so, they created not just tools and weapons, they crafted narratives, they built legacies, they wove themselves into the very tapestry of their societies. Their power wasn't always overt, their influence not always obvious, but it was real, it was profound, and it was enduring. Theirs was a power born of necessity, nurtured by tradition, and ultimately sanctified by ritual. Welcome back to the Circle of Calm. Our journey through the firelit world of the Mande blacksmiths now comes to rest. We have walked with men whose hands shaped more than metal. Their hammers rang not only against iron, but against the hidden fears and hopes of their communities. From the sweat and poison of their daily struggles to the rituals that marked them as set apart. to the guilds that bound them together in secrecy and authority, we saw how their lives were heavy with both burden and reverence. We entered the forge not just as a workshop, but as a temple where craft and danger and ritual all but one. And we saw how that power extended into the village square, into the council chambers, into the courts of chiefs and traders. A plough for the farmer, a spear for the warrior, a charm for the anxious mother, a staff for the ruler, all flowed from the same fire. It is here that the story of the Mande Blacksmiths leaves us with its quiet paradox. They were feared and avoided, yet utterly necessary. They stood outside ordinary life, yet no life could continue without them. They were craftsmen, ritual keepers, and silent custodians of authority. Their legacy endures in the rhythms of African metalwork, in the myths whispered about fire and iron, and in the ways power and craft remain intertwined even today. So, as the fire cools and the last hammer stroke fades into memory, we let the story settle in us like embers under ash. May it remind us that behind every tool, every symbol, and every structure of authority lies a human hand, scarred, strong, and shaped by ritual. Thank you for joining me on this episode of Under the Baobab Tree. If you enjoyed this series, please remember to hit the like button and share your thoughts in the comments section below. Each like and comment helps us continue sharing these captivating stories. Your support means a lot to us and helps keep this platform thriving with incredible content. So, if you're moved by the stories we share, take a moment to show your support. Your engagement helps us reach more history lovers like you and allows us to keep bringing these tales to life. Thanks for being part of our community and for coming together under the Baobab tree where history comes to life and the circle of calm welcomes you back. Until next time, stay curious, keep asking questions, and remember, the world is full of stories waiting to be discovered. You are now under Baobab skies.